you will succeed. I can guarantee this. And I say this to my team all the time. For people that have started this industry, right? They're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I don't know if it's going to work out for me. If you have the fire, Jamie, you know it. If you have the passion and you put it into your product, I can guarantee you will succeed.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
All right, this is Real Talk with Carmen. I thought this week we've now literally just gotten approval from FSRA. So FSRA licensing, that is our governing body for mortgage brokers, brokerages, agents, administrators. They pretty much govern the mortgage industry. So I finally got our approval on, my approval for principal broker license on Monday. I wanted to talk about, because I thought about this, how have I been handling so if anybody that's actually opened up a brokerage, how have I been handling the stress that comes along? Because we all know that it's very, very stressful when you're opening up an enterprise, right? Whether it be a brokerage, a business. We know this, right, Jamie?
Absolutely.
Jamie's doing a ton of selfies, but he didn't distract me. So how do we handle it, right? Like, I'll be honest with you, in the last couple of weeks, it's been tough. It's been really tough for me. So people are always like, you always seem centered. So this has been probably the most stressed out that I've been, right? And we know, so my agents have officially transferred over. Thank you to my agents. I love you guys tons. It's hard because then things go sideways and you're like, what? So yesterday, on top of eating good, you've watched me. I'm trying to eat good. I'm trying to get back to, basics, but it's stressful, right? And how do you stay centered? So what are some of the things, and I always say, like, meditating is huge for me. Have I been able to meditate the last week? No, it's been ridiculous. So, I'll be honest, I've walked away from things, when things get stressful, I try to walk away, go for a walk, do something, to help with my stress levels. Right. But we are human, right?
We try to be, yeah.
Yeah, I know, Jamie. So I'm going to
but it is hard. I mean, I get you.
It's hard. It's so hard. I'm always like, Zen, everything is good, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, hey, this isn't set up. You said it. I'm like, it was set up. I don't know why it's not set up anymore. And then you start to a fire has just started and you're trying to turn it off. And you're like, where's the time to sit there and be Zen, right? Like, it's hard.
It's really hard, yeah.
It's hard. So we had an incline that maybe we would have got the license this week. But when we did, Jamie, I had to call you. Jamie, listen, what's the goal plan? And you're like, all right, let me drop off. Let me get some stuff done. So, and then chaos happens in your world because you've been with us for so long that we've done this transition.
It's been a couple of times, but it's what you're saying. It's like you didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. So on my end, I have my schedule going on, and I'm, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, pretty soon Carmen is going to just drop the ball and we're going to have to get things done. And that's always so tricky because what am I going to do? Am I going to free up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Like what day, right? So
it's
when
chaos.
It drops, it's chaos. It's complete chaos. But we managed it. We got it going.
Yeah. And it's, you know what? I have to say though, Jamie, you're very funny because I call you, I'm like, Jamie, listen. You're like, listen, I'm eating.
Yeah. One time you called me, I was dropping off my kids at school, and then the other time it was crazy.
It's crazy. And you know what? I have to say you're very patient. I feel kudos to Zervain for putting up with me because, and the kids, because at the drop of a hat, so I was like, okay, to the kids yesterday, okay, we're going to go to Toys R Us because Zendaya lost her tooth. I'm like, okay, Zendaya, we're going to go to Toys R Us. We're going to go, because she got money from the Tooth Fairy. Shout out to Toys R Us. Thank you for being there for me to spend my money because my kids love you.
I thought you were going to shout out the Tooth Fairy, but okay.
Shout out to the Tooth Fairy. Anyways, so, yesterday, so chaos hit at 5 o'clock. It was like, this account isn't set up, Carm. What's going on? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we need this account. What are you talking about? And it's like chaos, right? And it's like calling Lisa, calling this, So, and I wanted to bring this up. Chaos happens. It happens. And sometimes you're not pretty during that chaos, right? You're not. Let's be realistic. I hope to one day it's going to happen. Chaos happens. So what happened was, I had to come down. I'm like, okay, Zendaya, you got to give mommy 1 hour. So right before Toys R Us closed, it's like you're rushing to Toys R Us because I promised Zendaya I would do it, fully knowing the chaos happening in the back. So your work-life balance, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get this. And she was so happy. She's like, yay, I get to pick this out. And you're in the background going, oh my God, I'm going to...
You got a million things going in your head.
She has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But...
It's the life of an entrepreneur, and a lot of people
is.
don't even imagine how crazy it can get sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it's easy, but most of the times it's not.
Oh God, I have to say one thing. I think internally, being on my own, I could honestly say, through the chaos and everything, I am so happy to finally be home, right? And that home feeling when you've made it and you walk in the door and you're like, I'm home, and you actually feel at home. Yeah. I have to say, during the chaos and everything, I still have a smile because I'm blessed where I am today, right? I'm blessed to have, everything that's to come that we've put together, our plans. We dropped the video, which was a killer video, Jamie, killer video.
Yeah,
it depicted exactly, what we were about, and it's about evolution, right?
And that's, and you know what, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that video because it was so important that you decided to document your journey from almost day one, because that video, that little, I think it was a 3-minute video, but it depicted everything since the beginning. And that's so crucial for a lot of companies out there. And if you guys are watching, and have a company or thinking about starting your own company, document everything. Just do that, because it's amazing. Looking back, when you look back at that video, and I know some of the other agents here.
The agents were emotional. We were like me,
because
Edward,
it's looking at
Glenn,
your past.
Right? We looked back and we were like, oh my gosh, we were heavily involved. When we got into this pandemic, you forget, you're just so consumed with, oh my gosh, it's 2 years of not talking to people, not being around people. And it's you forget, you literally forget.
Crazy. 2 years.
2 years, right? And you're like, you literally been caged for 2 years. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Looking at that video and just watching the evolution happen. And I remember when I changed the brand, when I went from TCG to Axiom, I honestly remember how hard it was emotionally for me. Do you remember that, Jamie? I think we talked about it after. It was a hard time for me because we put a lot into TCG. And one thing I want to throw out to anybody that's starting this, anybody, if anybody tells you, because I did hear this, not naming any names, that, oh, your brand is brand new, everybody's trying to rebrand and everybody. So today it's brand new. 5 years from now, it will be built. 10 years from now, I will match you. So if it's going to take me 10 years to get my brand to be recognized, then the 10 years of work I will put in, right? So if anybody's telling you all these people trying to rebrand, trying to do this, trying to do that, it's such a waste of time, it's not a waste of time. Start your brand today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Today is where you start and you move forward, right? In this industry, there's a ton of brands out there, but each brand has a meaning to that individual. Each brand has a meaning to that individual. I want to repeat that because, I'm never going to discourage anybody that starts under my umbrella and says, I want to brand myself. Then I will empower you to brand yourself. I will 100% do that for you because it's not, meaningless. It means something to that individual. Right. And I let some people tell me that, oh, it's not worth, starting your own brand. It's not worth, your brand's brand new. Why, go with the brand that's well known. No, in 10 years, my brand will be well known in 10 years. I don't need to, be discouraged about that. So for anybody out there, build your brand. Start today. Start the hard work today. I encourage you to do that, right? Who cares about these big box names? Who cares about them? Start your brand for your niche market and your community. That is important and key, right? And if you have the fire in your heart to continue with that brand, do it, because you will succeed. I can guarantee this. And I say this to my team all the time. For people that have started this industry, right? They're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I don't know if it's going to work out for me. If you have the fire, Jamie, you know it. If you have the passion and you put it into your product, I can guarantee you will succeed. Yeah. I always say this because if you come in half, well, maybe I might do it. Maybe I might not do it. I don't know. Do I do part-time, full-time? What do I do? If you come in like that, it's going to be hard for you to succeed. But if you put your whole passion into your brand, into your business, and you put skin in the game, you will win.
Yeah, but you do need to take it that seriously, because there are going to be moments that it's gonna be hard, and if you don't have that fire to keep going at 2:00 in the morning when you need to get that thing done, then you're gonna lose. But if you do have the fire and you do want to work hard, then you'll make it.
Jamie, but you can. You know what? I've always said this. I think we parted for about a year when we joined forces with Axiom. I think we parted for a year. It just wasn't the same, because when you came back and we were doing the video, I know I went back with that video like 3 times. I know I did. But it was like, when I said it to you, I was like, Jamie, this is what I want. And I have to say, I'm very expressive. So I'm like in Jamie's
a little bit,
face. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Jamie, this is what I want. It's so awesome. Trust me. I've got the vision. But here's what I'm saying. When you have the right people in your corner, like wholeheartedly, when I know that I can just freely talk to Jamie, and he knows I'm crazy sometimes, he gets it, and not crazy where I'm like, blah, 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 more like passionate. He understands that about me. I can freely do that with Jamie, get off the phone and be like, oh, he's so effing awesome. I know he's going to do it, right? And then when he sends the final product to me and it's beyond, and like I had people call, say, holy shit, that was an amazing video. Like, who did you hire for it? I don't even want to say, because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep him a secret. But it's just the vision, that like the creativity you have, but you can see that your passion matches my passion when it comes to your business.
It's all about, I actually put a video on my channel talking about being a mind reader as a marketer.
Such a mind reader.
And it's so true. Like, I feel like I've become that mind reader after almost 20 years of doing this. Like, I can listen to a client and go, okay. Because it's not just listening to what they're saying, like what you're telling me. It's knowing you as well, because we've been working for so long. I know now what you mean when you say something. Like, everybody has a different idea and a different way of speaking and putting out the words, but that's what you have to do. You have to really sit down and go, okay, what does she mean by this? And trying to figure that out. But you did it,
though. That's what I mean. Like, I remember saying it to you, and you're like, what are we, a production team? Like, I'm not
Spielberg.
I'm not like, are you kidding me, Carm? I'm like, no, Jamie, you can do this. I believe it. Remember, I did say that. I was like, I believe in you, Jamie. You're going to do an awesome. And like, I have to say, like, and I remember like, that one section, and I'm like, you have to go through the evolution of, and it wasn't
I started in the first video we recorded.
All the way up to what the transition to Axiom to, going on our own, and the video came out because I've already had calls, like I said, damage control. I'm like, people are going to do it, relationships form. But sometimes when you're not jiving, like passion wise, sometimes, you have to part ways, right? Yeah. And that's what happens, right? Like, sometimes you think it's like dating. You date somebody, you're looking. I believe wholeheartedly that I cannot doubt myself. I believe that there was a lot of doubt, and it mainly has to do with, and I'm gonna talk about it in this mortgage industry. This morning I was on the phone with that TikTok Reels, Chantel. Shout out to Chantel. Let's show a little bit of her video. And I said something to her, and she's like, no, the industry is changing. When we started this industry, it was an old boys club, right? And I hate saying this because I am going to mention this. Now that I'm signing up to lenders and I'm talking to lenders, there's specific lenders, which I'm not going to drop names, that, they only sign up a particular leader. Let's just say that, right? So a particular leader. So, and that's fine. yesterday I did a meditation. So I finally got into meditation and realized, do I want that certain lender in my corner servicing my agents? So maybe today, I'm doing a certain amount of volume, but when I get to 5 billion, they're going to want to knock on my door, and I'm going to specifically say to them, you know what? Do you remember that time? Because times are changing. Yes, 5-10 years ago, this was a boys' club. Mm-hmm. But guess what? Those boys are retiring. And guess who's taking over? Right? We're going to remember the disrespect we got. As female entrepreneurs in the mortgage industry, we're going to remember this shit. We are. I know, not for nothing. I may not remember because I have a forgiving heart, but people around me will remember. Right? And it's honestly, it's sad because you know what? Shout out to Chantel for making me realize, Carm, they're going to retire. This is a women's club now, right? And you know what? We're not those people that were like, you know what? We're going to be exclusive to just women. Not just this old club where it's all men, right? Like, we need to shake that off, right? You need to shake it off because it did affect me. A year ago, I made decisions based on that mentality. Right? It was like, oh, nobody's going to want to work for me because, it's an old man's club. It's an old, club, boys club and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I'm done with that shit. I'm done. I'm passionate about what I do. I care for each individual agent that's on my team. I care for their development. I care for them to, succeed in their business. I don't do this. Come into my brokerage. Let's hire as many people as possible. Let's throw these licenses out. Let's just let them run loose. Why invest time in them? You know what? This era is changing. You can't do that anymore in this industry. 12,000 agents were licensed in the last 2 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Who's managing these 12,000 agents that are coming into this industry? You know what I mean? That's scary. You can't just license and throw them under your brokerage. There has to be an educational portion to it, right? You have to invest money into your agents. We talk about agents, pounding the pavement and putting skin in the game. Are the broker houses putting skin in the game? Are the broker houses paying for their education to educate these agents? Are you hiring people to educate them? This is key. This is the pandemic in the mortgage industry, and I worry about it. When I started this, that was my self-conscious. I was like, you know what? No. And you would keep quiet because you're like, I don't want to be that female that says this, that.
How many years were you in the mortgage business before you started TCG?
I think 3 years. I want, not for nothing, 3 years. I did 40 million, 3 years. Never got the respect from my principal broker. Mm-hmm. He was crap because it was all about a boys club. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. It was all about being a boys club. It's all about, that's all. But guess what? This boys clubs, they're retiring. Yeah. They're leaving the industry. And guess who's taking over?
I think it's more of a generational thing, right? And looking back, obviously, you're right. It was more of a man's world when it
100%.
But it's across the board. It's not just the mortgage agencies. It's everything.
See, I'm going to give the perspective, honestly, Jamie, of the mortgage industry because this is what I'm a part of, right? And I used to be afraid. I'd be silenced, right? Oh, no, I don't want to say anything because, I don't want to. I don't want to, I don't want other agents knowing, this and that. But it's a constant silent battle. Mm-hmm. It is. You know what I mean? It's a constant silent battle. But it's, you know what? I just, for now, that's that. That's that with the, you're like too passionate about that.
No, hey, listen, it is what it is, right? And you have all the right to be passionate about this. This is your life.
You know what? Sometimes the time is right. The time is right. Right? So it's sometimes right to just do it. And I felt today is that day because everything that we're going through this week, what we will be going through in the next couple of weeks, it's exactly that. Right? All right. For everybody listening, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Continue to watch for our evolution? Yeah, it's evolution.
Yeah, it's an evolution.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you have any commentary, do you want to just reach out and talk? You're more than welcome. Comment below. Thank you so much for listening.
And I just wanted to mention, just to not to cut you off, but don't forget, we also have this on Spotify. So if you want to just listen while you're walking the dog or, on your treadmill, feel free to just
Oh,
search
that's
up
awesome.
Carmen Costa, Real Talk. You'll find us there.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Hello? Oh, yeah, wow. That's loud. What? Is it recording though? Just because I'm loud? You say I'm loud? I like to show my socks.
This will be in bloopers for sure.
Now you're 60, so that makes sense.
And this is my cue to leave.
I'm kidding.
There's a joint on the corner where the big boys play, where the whiskey's running like the river, but they all never come for the booze and bass. I'm the one, I'm the lady that'll rock this place. That'll rock this place. That'll rock this place.